Hi, well, we're here with Paul Thompson, the manager of Cape Otway Light Station, and just going to tell us a bit more about this fantastic area. So, how long has the lighthouse been here, and tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, the lighthouse has been here since 1848.
Yeah.
And it was really the culmination of two major shipwrecks. One in 1835, the convict ship Neva, where about 250 people lost their life on King Island, about 88 kilometres that way.
Yeah.
And then after that, there was another major shipwreck in 1845, the Kitariki. And that was a different story then. That was all free settlers and emigrants coming to Australia. And that lost 399 people again on King Island. So it was really after those two shipwrecks that the authorities wanted to get the lighthouse built. And then 1846 comes along and there's a bit of a depression in Victoria and Australia, so they couldn't find the money. But after these shipwrecks, they really made sure that they had the money, and it was built in 1848.
1848. So is that how the phrase came about, the eye of the needle, because of that passage in Bass Strait?
Yeah, it is. There's basically, Argentina that way to the west, and then Antarctica to the south. So this huge fetch of Southern Ocean gets funneled in to the distance between here at Cape Otway and King Island. So ships mariners termed it either as going through the funnel or threading the eye of the needle. And even today, it's still one of Australia's most hazardous shipping lanes.
Is that right?
Yeah, and even probably in the world as well, it's one of the most hazardous shipping lanes in the world. So.
And probably the most windiest, seeing that it's just the ocean and then you've got Antarctic.
Yeah, that's right. And and there's no land between here and Argentina. So the big southern busters, or southerly busters we call them, or the low pressure systems rotating around Antarctica, this is the first bit of land they hit coming from the west after Argentina. So yeah, there's a huge fetch of ocean and a huge large area to get a lot of wind, and yeah, Cape Otway sticking out just cops a lot of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wonder what it would actually be like to be on one of those boats coming for the first time. I mean, what would the life be like for a lighthouse keeper back in those 1800s?
Yeah, for the lightkeeper itself, this was effectively an island up until about 1920. So there was only 2 supply boats a year.
Wow.
So that was if the weather was good, the supplies could come in. If they couldn't get the supplies in, they'd have to wait till next time. So sometimes there's only 1 supply boat a year. So it's pretty tough, pretty isolated, but we've got to remember though that the light keepers here, they had a job, they had a place to live, and their food was part of the light station, part of the wages. Other people in Australia were literally carving out an existence in the Aussie bush. So it was isolated and remote, but not as tough as some other pioneer settlers in Australia at the time.
So it's probably ready-made for them.
Yeah, that's right, ready-made for them, and a lot of the light keepers are ex-mariners, so they knew the importance of keeping the light operational. And Henry Bales Ford, who was the second light keeper here, he was here for 30 years, and the light didn't fail at once at all under his charge.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah,
and from that, he's probably saved many lives as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And with the gold rush that occurred after 1850, basically every ship in the world was coming to Australia, and you could look out here and see 60, 70 ships a day passing by Cape Otway because everyone was coming to the Victorian goldfields.
Wow.
It was very significant.
Yeah, very important. So when did the road actually, you said this was an island, so when did they make the road?
Well, the road was really put in after the Second World War, or during the Second World War when they had service personnel out here. The supplies came in overland after about 1920, once the train lines got put through to Winchelsea and Colac, and then the subsidiary lines for the forestry at Lavers Hill and Beach Forest and things like that. So once the forestry was opened up in the Otways, then trains and bullock wagons would then bring supplies into Cape Otway. So it was after 1920s.
1920s, so it's still quite a while they were quite isolated in a way.
That's right, yeah. And it was tough. There was some days, one major incident they called the Blanket Bay disaster, when 3 crew of the ship, the Lady Locke, the supply vessel, they lost their life as they were trying to row stores ashore.
Wow.
And the boat got overturned in a swell. So even for the light keepers' children, it was quite dramatic here.
Yes.
There was infant mortality here and things like that because of the remoteness. No doctors. We read through the logs of the stories, and Catherine Evans, died, no medical attendant, not sure why, she was ill for 21 days.
Yes,
So there's a lot of those sort of stories here of the light keepers' hardships as well.
And it's good to share those stories, because then you really appreciate your life now, of how the people in the past have almost pioneered the amazing lives that we live now. Now I understand that you do have other visitors, many whales come to visit you.
Yes, we do. This is a great vantage point for looking for whales that are migrating from the Antarctic waters into the warmer tropical waters off north coast or east coast of Australia. They're mostly southern right whales and humpback whales. We also occasionally get, you know, blue whales and killer whales as well, but the main ones we get are the southern rights and the humpbacks.
Yeah.
And they're fantastic. It's a great vantage point up on the lighthouse there, the
Yeah.
balcony, to watch them as they migrate north and then again south back in October, November time.
Fantastic. So June and October, they'd be the key times.
Yeah, so like May, June to October, November, and so yeah, it's quite spectacular. A lot of times they're just passing by, and then other times they put on a bit of a show for us,
do they?
preaching and things like that, tail
fantastic.
slapping. So it's, yeah, it's a great spot.
Oh, great. I'll have to come back for sure.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about visitors. Now, I know that you do ghost tours. So, have you personally seen any ghosts or heard any rumbles? Or
Yeah, well,
what can you tell us?
Yeah, it's a good-
Is it haunted?
Is it haunted? Well, look, I'm one of these people that I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
But even then, when I say that, I get a bit of a shiver down my neck saying, believe we exist. But we've certainly had a lot of visitors because people can stay at the light station here.
Yeah.
And for a long time, we started documenting and recording people's experiences. They'd say they'd hear soothing music or this feeling of warmth or a lady in grey walking through a wall.
Now I've got shivers.
Yeah, it's just a cold. But so a lot of people were saying the same thing. So we just stopped documenting because there was enough recordings of people saying they were feeling these experiences. And then, I've lived here for 5 years and I didn't personally see anything, but we did have an interesting incident in the cafe building here, where the internal phone system was ringing in the manager's house and there was nobody here. We went over there to have a look to see if there was anyone there, then all the lights were on and then they were off. And so there's these sort of things like that have occurred when I've been here. But still, people today even experience these sort of feelings in the accommodation, and also seeing the lady in grey in the cafe building there. There's 3 recognised ghost stories here, if you like.
Yeah.
And I won't give them all away because
you have to come to the tour.
that's right. But we've had paranormal investigators or ghostbusters, as we commonly call them, and they've certainly experienced things. And mediums have come here, and they evolve around the cafe building here and the telegraph station themselves, and up inside the lighthouse are the 3 commonly known places where people experience things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, and we've identified one that we can sort of like pin a name down to. A lady here that had a child here and was probably suffering from postnatal depression,
is that right?
Is what we'd call it now. And then she was taken away to an asylum in Sunbury.
Yeah.
And the general story feeling goes that this was the last place she was happy. So she's come back here.
Yeah, come back because it's happy times.
Yeah, happy times here and things like that. So,
yeah.
And there are a couple of others that will let people feel if they experience it when they come and visit.
Right, so you must do the ghost tour. Now, you also mentioned that accommodation. Now, I personally have very fond memories of this place because I came here in, I think it was 98, 99, when when I moved here permanently to Australia. There was a whole load of, we had an orphan's Christmas actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in between Christmas and New Year's. So we set up our Christmas tree and so that was really lovely. So I've got fond memories. But since then, you've expanded it. Talk about the expansion of your accommodation.
We haven't built any new buildings, but we've actually restored and renovated some of the buildings. The telegraph station's probably the best one, as far as that really tells the story of the telegraph station, how it's used as a signal station, and the subsea telegraph cable coming from Tasmania to the mainland. So that building's now open as a tour. People can wander through there, which is great. The assistant keeper's house is now open as the Lightkeepers Cafe. So before that was also used to be accommodation, but now it's open as a cafe for day visitors to come and experience, look at the great old photos on the walls and some of the art we've got in there. And then more importantly, recently we've done the Aboriginal Cultural Site to interpret the Aboriginal culture, the significance of the Aboriginal culture here at Cape Otway with the Gadabanud peoples that were here beforehand.
Great.
And that's fantastic, that's going really well. And also we've just put some life-size sculptures in of the whales that we see passing by here, so visitors can get an understanding of the size and scale of them, which is, it's quite amazing. So it's been quite a few things go on.
Yes.
And on top of that, we have more guides here, and we have some actors doing theatrical representations of some of the shipwreck victims, of the Lightkeepers families here, and things like that. So there's a lot going on.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for your time, and I think you really must come down here and enjoy Cape Otway Lighthouse.
Yeah, thank you.